And we are live on Paratalk episode stream number 2. Hello, everyone. Hello, Leanne.
Yeah.
So, yes, we are here. We are back. Hello, everyone. Hello to Rick, to User One, to Tim, the Pigeon Master. Hello, everyone. Another stream, and hopefully this one's going to go without any hitches this time. But who knows? That's what happens when you live stream, isn't it? Things go wrong, and then you overcome. So, Leanne, what have you been up to? We haven't talked for a while. What have you been up to?
Not a lot. Wednesday night, I did a bit of paranormal investigating. I went to the Haunted Antiques Paranormal Research Centre.
Oh, cool. Yeah. And what was all
Yeah.
that about? How does that work?
So there was a group of about 10 of us. It was the guys from Haunted Magazine and also Haunted Live. They were doing an event, and it was quite a nice, small, intimate group. And there was a few of us. There was also Steve Higgins from Higgy Pop,
Okay, cool.
and Laurianne from the Ghost Book. So there was a nice little group of us, which I've never met anyone before, but I thought I'd go along. And yeah, it was from 8 till 11, and we had the entire place to ourselves, and it was really nice. Not a lot of paranormal activity, but it was just a really good, time, like meeting everyone.
Yeah. It's a good way to network as well, isn't it? And,
Yeah.
sort of chat with people and find out other people's experiences and stuff. So, nothing really happened then.
No, not nothing notable. There was a few people sensing things, but I don't know whether because I'm a bit more,
Right.
skeptical. I don't know whether I'm like
Skeptical.
shut off from things. Yeah, but no, it was good. I sat in this chair from the kind of it was from I think it was like over 100 years old, and it was used in the hospital during the war. So there was a lot of history surrounding this wheelchair, and there were stories of people sitting in this chair and not being able to last longer than a minute before having to get out, and people putting heat sensors up towards the chair,
Uh
and
huh.
someone's body being red all the way down to their belly, and then their legs going blue. So I was like, I'll have a go. I'll sit in the chair,
Why
and
not?
yeah, and I sat in the chair, and I felt okay. I didn't feel anything, but
So, so you absolutely nothing happened when you were in the
not
chair.
not in the chair. No, no,
Anyone else? Did anyone else do it? And anything happened to
no. No
them?
one, no one else did it, but
Oh,
but for
so
me.
yeah, it sounds interesting. So any other paranormal things going on, or was that the kind of highlight for now? What you've been doing?
The highlight for now. Nothing yet planned, but still some
Right.
time.
We're definitely we're going to have to arrange our excursion somewhere, and do a paratalk. What they call it? On like an on location, a field
Yeah,
report,
yeah,
something like that. That will be fun. So yeah, this stream's going to be we're going to be talking about. I named it haunted vehicles, but it's kind of like haunted transport, haunted machines. I don't know. It's a kind of a hard one to sort of put sort of your thumb on. But before we because I know you got a few stories and I've got
yeah.
one which is one of my favourites actually. But before we before we go down that road, I wanted to I did this last stream and it was quite fun. And I thought I'd do it again. I'll pick another couple of news stories. Are you pop music 90s 2000s? Do you remember a band called Texas?
Yes, yes, of
Okay, they
course.
were. I can't remember. Maybe I'm getting a bit old, but I remember them being in the charts, and I remember they had like a they had like a few singles which were quite they were quite top 40. They ranked in the top
Yeah,
40,
yeah,
and they kind of came. They were there, and then they were gone. You know. So yeah. So what's the name? Charlene's. That's her name, Charlene, the lead singer, the lady that fronted the band. Apparently, she's got a ghost that haunts her kitchen in London. It says 50-year-old, 53-year-old star mum told she's always been nice to her spirits. So the story goes right that that she's got. Well, she claims. It says she claims that she has. That's not definite, but she says she claims. So these are news stories, and she's got the kitchen of her London home is haunted by a friendly ghost, and it
Just the
says
kitchen?
that. Well, yeah, it says uh, it it says that she regularly sees a woman sitting at the table in her home. She also insists her family and several visitors to the house have also spotted the ghostly figure. So it's not just her, apparently; it's her family members and people that have come to visit her have seen this lady in her kitchen, sat at her table. So I don't know. It's a bit weird, isn't it? But she goes on to say that the woman who sits at the end of the table, when I see her, always says, "This is weird," because she says she always says hello to her, and that she feels that it's a nice spirit, and it doesn't scare her at all. So that's a bit. It's another kind of pop star who's got like a haunted house. I mean, Toya's got a haunted
Yeah.
house. Toya's sort of been known to sort of. I think she featured recently in a program regarding the goings on in her home. It's quite an old home, but it's sometimes you think, are they doing it for publicity or is it something really going on there? Another one is Sting. Sting and his wife. They live in a very old building, and I remember the story he told that he woke up one night, early one morning actually, and that there was a figure in their bedroom, and his wife saw it as well, and then it kind of just faded away. So who knows? I don't know.
Mm.
But that's an interesting one. So Texas singer. You could be all right. You could be cynical and say, "Oh well, she was famous once, and now she's trying to rekindle her career with a ghost story of a ghost, and it gets her in the paper." But no, no. I mean, if I were like a famous pop star, I certainly wouldn't be going making up ghost stories just to sort of get in the paper. What do you think?
No, no. I think people who believe in the paranormal get a hard enough time as it is.
Mm.
I think if I was wanting publicity, I think that would probably be the last route that I would go down, is saying I was seeing a ghost. But I don't know, possibly. But she doesn't seem to be kind of, the ghost in her house doesn't seem to scare her. She's not saying she needs help to get the ghost out of her house or anything. So it's just more just of a nice to know, I guess. It's just like, telling her fans and sharing her life with her fans if she's still got them. I'm sure she has.
Oh, I'm sure she has. I'm sure she's got lots of fans all around the world.
Yeah.
So remember the Amityville? Do you remember the Amityville case?
Oh, of course, yeah.
So what are your thoughts on the Amityville case?
Um, so I remember seeing that picture of the little boy looking through the banister. Have you
Yeah,
seen that picture?
yeah,
And I remember hearing the story about it, about how a woman was looking through the pictures, and every time she came across this picture, the baby in her belly, because she was pregnant, would kick and go really erratic and stuff. And hearing that really freaked me out. I was like, oh, and the
yeah.
picture does look scary. The boy's eyes are like bright white and stuff. But then reading more about it, people are saying it was a crew member's child who wasn't supposed to be there. It's nothing paranormal. And the obviously Ed and Lorraine are connected with the case,
Oh yes.
and they, they're very obviously infamous within the paranormal. Everyone knows them, but again, they're like Marmite. You either love them or hate them. They've got some negativity surrounding their cases, that they're kind of done for money and fame and stuff. So I don't know about the Amityville. I think it's a very fascinating story, makes good films, but I can't say for certain that it's as big as kind of it's gotten given. This, like,
Yeah.
it's so famous. I don't know whether it's really as big as it's
It
got.
kind of it kind of took on its own thing, and it became more uh it clearly there was a murder there. A whole family was killed
Yeah.
by a deranged family member who obviously has some form of had some sort of psychological stuff going on, because he said he could hear voices and stuff.
Mhm.
Some people say, well, that was the demon, that was the
Mhm.
devil. Well, I don't know. You watch the film, and the film is so embellished with like the walls bleeding blood and the pig monster at the window, which really scared me when I was young. When I saw that,
Yeah.
I couldn't sleep. Um, but the house itself has kind of over the years, as you say, with Ed and Lorraine, they are a little bit Marmite. You either, I mean, they have been involved in an awful lot. Well, not so much now, but over the years,
Mm.
involved in a lot of. Even they were even involved with the Enfield case, the Enfield
Yeah.
poltergeist. They came all the way over and they did their thing, and of course, apparently it was a demon. But
Mm.
so yeah, they have been. But I have seen um, video of uh, Ed doing he was it was a house where a family was. This is in America. They were um, apparently they were being harassed by a poltergeist,
Mm.
and they the whole kitchen table is on video, and it's you see it move across the kitchen. Now, unless they've set that shot up and this is what we're going to do, and I don't
Mm.
know, it seems to happen. And also the child is being, you can see that the child's chair is being pulled from behind, and you can't just unless there's some sort of you know special effects going on, which I
Yeah.
don't think so. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm on the fence with that. But I'm just saying that the Amityville case is kind of what up there with the everyone loves to argue about it. Yeah, the photograph, one of the classics that is, with
Mm.
the little sparkly eyes, and people
Yeah.
say, yeah, but he's got sparkly eyes because he's wearing glasses, and it's the flash that
Mm.
Well, I don't know. I just once again I'm on the fence. I'm a little bit
It's
sort of
a creepy photo. I'm not gonna
It
lie, it is a
is.
creepy photo.
Yes, it is definitely. But anyway, so in I think this one is in Louisiana.
Mm.
So it's a house, right? That's compared. It says the high. Let me just read you the headline because they're always the best. It says homeowners struggling to give away. He's give away a free haunted house after ex-residents share chilling story. So he's not trying to sell this. He
Mm.
wants to give this house away, and it's a really nice house. It's a big house. Yeah. Anyway, so let's have a little read, shall we? So it says the owner of a home compared to the Amityville horror house. So
Mm.
it's not the Amityville house now; it's the Amityville horror house. Well, I suppose
Yeah.
in a way it could be the horror house because there was a mass murder.
Mm.
But yeah, so he's struggling to give away for free after locals spread frightening stories about its haunted past. The four-bedroom house in Louisiana gained a spooky reputation, leaving no one in the town with never to go inside despite not having to spend a penny to own it. So, a former resident claimed the building is haunted by her great grandmother, who is known to move pots around and stir the cooking uh, when
Sounds
it's
good.
left unattended. So, this is a ghost that likes to cook and likes to finish your dinner.
Makes you a cup
Okay.
of tea.
Yeah, that'd be quite cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Former residents claim the building is haunted by the great grandmother, blah, 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 throwing pots around. We got that far. Sylvia McLean, a co owner of McLean Investments, took to Facebook to share the images of the home in a bid to convince someone to move in and restore the house so they could build a new property on the land. However, it appears potential suitors were put off by a flood of comments below from ex-residents and visitors who reported creepy goings on, claimed to have experienced. So, okay, so right, I'm gonna be devil's advocate here. Now, you live in a really nice place, and some of those small what we call towns, I suppose we call them a village over here, but they're like there's American sort of
Yeah.
towns out there in the south. Some of them are really quaint and really pretty and really
Mm.
nice. And if you've got a property developer that's coming and going, well, we're going to knock this house down and we're going to build something and we're going to sell the land. If you're all the residents and you get together and say, no, 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 that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You're going to say, that house has got demons and spirits and ghosts in it, and anyone that deals, goes there, it's they're going to get cursed. What do you think? Do you think I'm a raving lunatic, or am I onto something?
No, no, I totally get where you're coming from. But at the same time, if you were a paranormal investigator or interested in the
Yes.
paranormal, and
Uh-huh.
there was a house which is for free, because
Sorry.
they're saying they just can't give it away,
Yep.
why is Zach Bagan's not knocking on their door? He'd want it.
Well, he's actually busy with his new series. Zach's got a new series. He goes to people's homes who have got ghostly
I've
stuff.
seen that. Yeah,
Yeah, I've not watched it. I don't
I've
know.
not watched it.
I don't. Yeah, I don't
Mm,
know. I just I you know I used to. I'll be honest with you. I used to really enjoy ghost shows. I used to go, oh, Ghost Hunters is on. Oh, a bit of Most Haunted, bit of that running around in the dark, bit of screaming and shouting. It's got my arm. It's got my leg. That sort of thing, And I used to. And then all of a sudden, one day, I was like, I can't. No, I can't watch it no more. It's just like it all gets very samey. And I've been on, not so much in the recent years, but a few years ago, I've been on ghost hunts and stuff with friends, and let's go to this haunted place or whatever. And you sit there, and absolutely nothing happens, and you're thinking, well, this didn't happen on Most Haunted. It was mental on Most Haunted. They were all running around. They were getting chased and everything. Why else not happened to me? So yeah, I don't know, but yeah, it's TV, it's entertainment, isn't
mm,
it? But anyway, there's more to this. So there's more. It's Sylvia admitted she's heard all the stories about it being haunted by an old woman, and said the former owner has she's even had ghost hunters in to banish her. So they want to get rid of this ghost. They want to evict the ghost, get
okay.
rid of it. However, the ghost still remains. Sorry, she still remains hopeful. The history of the home can be saved, and it's free. It's free. I don't know. It's free for anyone to take on, move to, and so she really is. She just wants someone. Okay, here's the deal. This is what I think it is. The home is in a state of disrepair,
Yeah,
and the deal is, if you are going to move in there, you got to do it up. It's got to be
y-
something. It's got to be something going on, hasn't there?
yeah,
It's got to be something. I don't know. Let's have a look. Apparently the lady that is apparently haunting it lived there. She lived for almost 90 years. She was always digging in the pots and like, yeah. So it's an angry grandma in the house. Used to live there. She's not going to leave. And if you go in there, you have to just deal with it and put up with it.
yeah.
So yeah. So what would you do if I said to you, Leanne, here's the keys to a lovely house. It's your dream house, but it's got a ghost and it likes to cook. What are you going to do?
I'd say, when can I move in?
Yeah, but you okay? Yeah, you got the ghost. You have to
Yeah,
contend with the
golly.
ghost, which can be
Okay.
cooking at like 3 in the morning.
Was a little old lady. I'll make her a cup of tea as well. I'll make sure I tidy up after myself.
Okay,
I'm
so
not too concerned. They're not mentioning the buzz phrases like demon and evil entity or anything. I think I can handle a little old lady.
right, okay. Well, I don't know.
I say that, but
Yeah, I'm on the fence. I don't know. Uh, yeah, I don't know if I could handle coming down the stairs in the night for a midnight snack, and then all of a sudden there's a lady at on the table. Like, all right then, how's it going? I've done the washing up, and I'm
yeah.
like, I'm going back to bed. I can't handle this.
Or another option is get it and turning it into a haunted house attraction, because they are really popular in America. They love their haunted house attractions.
Yeah, and charge $600 a night. There you go, easy money. You don't even need to do it up. You just
Pays for
say go,
itself.
pays for itself, and it could truly have a real ghost in it, an old lady ghost that makes the pots and pans clink and
Yeah.
finishes the sandwiches. So yeah, so that's my two little stories. I thought that was quite interesting, but I think we should get on to the meat and potatoes of this stream, and that is haunted things like cars and planes and boats and I don't know. I've always found it kind of fascinating. I mean, you go back to the film Christine, with the classic American car, and it's got like the evil, well, apparently the devil, and also what's the film with the truck? Classic film. It's the truck. It's kind of they say it's the devil driving it, and he's chasing what's his face that used to play McLeod. I'm so crap with
Oh, I
names,
don't
but
know.
yeah, it was a great film. Those are two great films. But I I hear that you've got a couple of stories that involve haunted vehicles and things.
Well, it's not necessarily haunted vehicles, but there
Okay.
are spirits surrounding the vehicles. So like
All right.
more like ghostly hitchhikers.
Oh, okay.
Like,
All right.
okay,
I'm all
let me,
ears.
let me get it up so I get all the names right. Okay,
Right.
so
No, that's fine.
this first story happened in Argentina only last week. So
All
it's
right.
only happened
Okay.
last week. So it was a trucker was driving through Argentina through the Cordoba province, and he was leading a convoy of trucks. He's driving down, it's late at night, and he sees a woman stood by the side of the road.
Right.
As he approaches her, she suddenly vanishes into thin air. So he's a bit freaked out, radios back to the trucks that are behind him. They inform him that there is a lady hanging from the back of his truck. She's clinging on to the back of his rig.
Right.
So he's panicking, and again, within seconds or minutes, I'm not exactly, they haven't given a time frame, but quite quickly, again, she vanishes from the back of the truck. So the convoy were planning to pull over in a nearby lay-by to sleep for the night, but they decided to continue and travel 80 miles to kind of create some distance
Yeah.
between the creepy spirit lady and them. So you know that was one story. I have seen footage of the story, and you do see like dash cam of this woman clinging to the back of this truck. It does look creepy, but who knows? Who knows? But it does sound
So,
spooky.
okay. So, I hitchhikers and vehicles and phantom vehicles. It's not just hitchhikers. People get they see cars and trucks and all
Mhm.
trains and all sorts that they come from nowhere. They kind of like they appear and they think they're going to get picked up or whatever, and then the vehicle vanishes. But with the hitchhiker thing, um, I think that possibly there is a connection. Obviously, there's a connection with vehicles, but I touched on this. I did a stream with Kristen, Paranormal Girl. Hello, Kristen. I think you're in the chat last week, and we spoke about. I think we touched on this about people being haunted hitchhikers and stuff. But
Mhm.
um, I think that when you talk about that and you talk about vehicles and people being, picking someone up or witnessing something, I think there's a good possibility that the car, the vehicle, has a role to play as well, because there are cases where, like, you can have you pull over to pick someone up, and whatever it is, say a ghost, um, gets in. They open the door, they get in, they close the door, and you drive off having a chat. They don't say anything, and then you look in the mirror, or you look round, or you pull over and they're gone.
Mhm.
So there's that connection there, that thing, which
Well,
is
actually, there is a second story that happened in Argentina
oh, okay,
4 years ago. In February 2018, there was a man called Pedro, and he was driving to San Jose de la Esquina, and he was driving home, driving to that location, and he sees a hitchhiker on the side of the road. He's done it before. He's like picked up hitchhikers before, so didn't
yeah,
think twice. Pulled over. This young man got in. He asked him his age, and he said he was 17, and said, are you going all the way to San Jose? And he says, no, I'll let you know when I want to get out.
okay,
He said the man was quite quiet, didn't say much. And then when he actually finally asked him to drop him off, it was on a junction near a cemetery.
oh,
As As he was nearing that cemetery, Pedro started to smell burning. So he quickly pulled the car over, jumped out the car just to check whether anything was on fire.
Yeah.
And as he looked back into the car, the man wasn't there anymore. And all that was left behind were two burnt footprints into the rubber mats of the passenger seat.
Huh.
And this man, there's lots of stories about this man. It's all over all the news sites. He's had interviews.
Yeah.
He says he doesn't believe in the paranormal. He says he is very confused by what has happened. But yeah, he said he looked all around. There was nowhere that this man could have possibly, because it was all kind of, deserted land.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything hardly.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the middle of a city where someone could jump out the car and jump into a nearby building. It was just empty desert kind of thing. And yeah, he said it was bizarre. And then you've seen the photos of the sort of footprint shaped burnt into the rubber mats. That's bizarre.
When you said about the rubber mats, I suddenly remember that story because I saw that report. It was on a news report a few years ago. I remember it being featured on like a video paranormal sort of show,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember the guy he picked up, this young guy, wasn't it? He picked up. He's
Yeah.
like a youngish guy, and they did some research to find out who this person could possibly be. And I think there was a death or a murder or something in that vicinity where where this guy had been picked up, which had involved a fire or something. But what made me realize that was the same story was the footprints in the rubber mat in the car. When you said that, I thought, oh yeah, I've heard that story before. And once again, that is with, I don't know, when you call it a ghost. I don't know. I always get confused about what to call things. Do you call it a
Yeah.
ghost or an apparition or I don't know, spirit? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the
I mean,
correct
I don't know. I
terminology.
mean, that's one of the things when it comes to this. It's like you don't know how to things that labels with ghosts and spirits and stuff like that. It's like, well, what do you call it? What do you just make something up and just
Yeah.
I don't. The more I learn about this subject, and I've been learning for an awful long time, it's it's very ambiguous, and you have to be very open-minded and open-ended as to what
Mm.
you label stuffs. But all right, so okay, I've heard have you is that kind of one story or is that two stories there?
That's kind of two stories
Right.
connected just by location of Argentina.
All right. Well, I'm gonna I'm gonna have a go at one, which is this is a now to me this I remember reading about this case
Mm.
a long time ago, and I think there's anyone out there that's read a lot of paranormal stuff. They'll know about this story because I think it was a film made, Flight 401. Uh, it's a classic. It's a classic ghost tale. So this is something that goes back to 1973. All right, so you go all the way back to 1973. The captain of an Eastern Airlines flight from Newark, New Jersey, and it was going to Miami. Right, he was asked to check in the passengers to check the passengers in the first class. Okay, so the reason that he was asked to check was because someone on the manifest shouldn't have been there, right? So they asked you go have a look. You're the boss. Go have a look. See what's going on. So the passenger in question that they asked to check was part of the Eastern airline, which was what this whole flight thing was under the company, and this individual was what they call deadheading, which is basically hitching a lift. All right, they're not really on the manifest, but they're getting a lift from one place to another so that they can either fly another plane back or whatever.
Mhm.
Like like the like the bus conductor gets on and goes, "Morning, George," and just stands there and waits and then jumps off and disappears. Bit like that, but a little bit more high up in the sky. So yeah, so all this was going on, and the individual wasn't listed on the manifest, and the individual that they could see was dressed in a full like captain's outfit, so he looked like he was on the job. And when they, hailed him, talked to him, tried to speak to him, he didn't. They didn't get any response. So senior flight attendant was like, "Okay, it's bit weird going on here." He was. They described that this individual was just staring straight ahead and not taking any notice of anyone around or anything that was going on. He was just fixated straight ahead. And when the captain of the flight that was on approached the individual, he was immediately shocked. And he literally exclaimed out loud, "My God!" And then he said, "It's Bob Loft." Right now, so Bob Loft, right, is someone who is the main person of this story. So we got to go back now a year back to 1972, actually December the 29th, 1972. So it's an Eastern Airlines flight 401, and it's going from New York to Miami, all right? And it took off from JFK Airport at about 20 past 9 in the evening. And there were 176 people on board, right? But unfortunately, at 11:42 that same night, the flight 401 collided into the Everglades. It was traveling like 225 miles an hour, so it was shifting. And now the captain of that plane was Bob Loft. Okay, he died, of course. He was killed because and he was also on an impact basically. And the second officer, which was Don Repo, he survived the crash. Miraculously, he actually survived the crash, but unfortunately, a few days later, he passed away in hospital. So altogether, right, 101 passengers and crew perished in the disaster. But believe it or not, 75 people out of all of those survived. So
Wow.
and that I don't know how, but they were incredibly lucky.
Yeah.
So another, a fatality, a horrible crash, right? So some time went by, right, and it was at the time it was the highest death toll of any plane crash, right?
Mhm.
So over the next sort of year and a half, okay, there were reports coming in from numerous people that worked for Eastern Airlines, people that worked on the aircraft, that they were seeing the ghost of the Repo and Loft on Eastern Airline flights, and they would see these individuals as if full person, and then they would just be gone. So one flight attendant claimed that Repo's reflection was seen in an oven door in the galley. So they were preparing meals, and obviously the big ovens with the glass fronts, they saw his face as if he was stood behind them. And of course, when they turned around, he was gone. He wasn't there.
Yeah.
And another attendant on a New York to Miami flight opened an overhead bin to see Loft's face staring back at her. How creepy is that?
No, I don't like that.
So
Wow.
she opens the overhead hanging thing with they put waste in, and there's his face having a look back. So that's someone else that's had an experience, right? So there's according to an investigative reporter, John J. Fuller, he wrote a book in 1976, The Ghost of Flight 401. He tells that employees who reported sightings to supervisors were typical. This is the kind of mindset back then. If you were reporting this and saying, "Look, I had an experience. We saw, somebody who was meant to be dead on our aircraft," they would basically refer you to the company shrink, thinking you've got some mental going on. You're the problem. So yeah, they were referred to a crump. Now eventually, right, these reports became so persistent that the Eastern Airlines management warned any employee, right, if they would be fired on the spot if they were caught sort of telling these stories or telling people that they'd seen anything. So it was that serious.
Okay.
They were that serious about it. But there's a reason that they were I think I think there's a reason that they were doing this. So meanwhile, right, they were quite strict about logbooks and stuff being everything had to be written down because it's quite serious, and these sightings were being reported from all over the place. All right, but there was one flight, okay, which was flight number 318, Eastern Airlines, right, which was getting its fair share of these sightings of these two, well, mainly Bob Loft, and something was going on.
Mhm.
Now it came out, right. This is the interesting thing, right? It came out that where after the flight, the crash, and after all the bits and bobs were collected up and taken away because obviously they want to find out what happened. Some of the parts that were recovered from the wreckage were used on other aircraft, and one of the aircraft where these experiences were being seen was on the number 318, Eastern Airlines 318, that had parts on it from Flight 401. And so what happened was, in the end, the company decided to remove all of the bits that had been pillaged and used or from the wreckage, which I think is a bit weird anyway. You think that all that would be sort of crushed up and got rid of, and not just sort of, yeah, well, we can use that wheel, or
Yeah.
that'll be all right. We can whack that on there. It's a different mindset back then. It's
Mm.
people thought differently and did things differently. But so yeah, so after that happened, and they removed all those parts, it kind of stopped, and nobody saw him again. So what's your feelings about that?
I don't know. It's kind of giving sort of credence to the idea that objects can be haunted. So
Yeah,
like, the parts from this aeroplane where there was this terrible tragedy, stored all this energy kind of thing, the energy of like Captain Bob, and then when it was put into the new plane, it
yeah,
was kind of transferred there. So
yeah,
I guess that's, and then obviously once those items are removed, that's when the kind of the sightings stopped. So I don't know. I guess there's some sort of you know evidence to point to that theory. I don't know. It's very creepy. I don't like the story of her opening the overhead locker and seeing the face. That's a bit creepy. I
yeah.
wouldn't like that. At least it
That's
wasn't in the toilet. Washing your hands in the toilet mirror, looking up, and he's there like, nah.
I uh I just want to highlight something. Rick said something here. I just want to highlight this. Rick says, "Has anyone seen the footage of a ghost-like characters disembarking from an airplane in Japan?" I haven't seen that. That sounds. You're talking about creepy. Yeah, that is a bit creepy. Could you
Yeah.
imagine that? I mean, there's a lots of. We live in an age now where uh, vehicles or whatever, you can make a video and it can be like, oh yeah, that's what's real. I mean, you can go on to place like Instagram, and you can. I mean, I got to admit that I can sit there on my phone just going through all the little videos and thinking, oh yeah, that's looking at the UFO ones and the ghost ones,
Yeah.
and some of them, that you know they're a bit they're a bit what's the word, a bit fake, but they look so real, you know,
Oh, it's,
and
it's so easy to fake stuff
yeah,
nowadays.
yeah, it is.
It's hard to determine what is real and what's fake nowadays, which is a shame because I know we've discussed before that if you had a genuine paranormal video, nobody'd believe you anyway. If you had something flying around in your kitchen, people would be like, "Oh, it's string, it's editing." It's tough to prove otherwise.
Um, yeah, I, it's very uh, it's very hard when um, when you have when you have a video and it's kind of said, this is real. This is like, this is my gran or whatever, or I've caught this video of a ghost, and it's
Yeah,
very difficult to put it out there and have people look at it with an objective mindset to say, oh yeah, we're gonna because it's very, there's so much software out there now that can make things look so real, Adobe After Effects and stuff, and
Yeah.
all the UFO stuff. It's really difficult to know unless you're there, uh,
Yeah.
and you're actually in, seeing it with your own eyes.
Yeah.
There are people that kind of, when it comes to sort of the paranormal, there's a kind of a rule, which is a good rule, I think. Well, it's not really a rule. It's not like law or anything. It's not like ghost law, but investigators' law. There's a kind of an unspoken rule where if you are investigating, you should always investigate with two people and two cameras and two recorders, so that you know you and I are in a, I don't know, a haunted house, a haunted castle, and you capture something,
Yeah.
and it's basically a something that's legit. If I capture that same thing, then it kind of adds credence to what you've
Mm.
captured. Or if I record an event happening with you in frame, and and you're filming it as well, that also adds credence to what's actually happening. But
Mm. And that's,
un- sorry, yeah,
I was
carry
going
on.
to say that's why a lot of investigators say if you're taking a photo, take three in a row,
Yeah.
so that if something does change or there is an anomaly in the picture, you can say, well, this is the one that I took before, and this is the one that I took after. This anomaly is only in the middle picture, and I took three consecutive pictures, like click, click, click. It kind of just kind of gives yourself some backup, I guess.
So I know we're going off on tangents here, but that's the way it goes. Anyone that knows me, I'm all over the shop when it comes to the ghosts. I'll go here and there and everywhere. But I was going to ask you, what's your thoughts on cursed vehicles, vehicles that have got like number plates like 666 or whatever, or do you think that those kind of things? Do you think as a person, if I've got a car and it's like, its number plate is death, and I say you can borrow it if you want to go to the shops, are you likely to go, no, you're all right, I'll walk, or are you going to, yeah, all right?
Um, I'll probably go, yeah, all right. I just think that when it comes to stuff like that, I feel like it's got a lot to do with that the individual's beliefs and how um you know I don't even know what the word is, but just if I'm driving along in your car with the license plate number death, and you know I hit a fox or a badger or something at the side of the road, I'm gonna go, oh, that's just the way of life. Everyone would hit, people hit badgers or foxes all the time. I wouldn't necessarily go, that's the car's fault. I think it depends on your mindset. I think, and I'm not easily swayed when it comes to things like cursed items and stuff like that. I think it's got a lot to do with the mindset of the individual.
So, okay, all right. Another scenario. I'm going to keep throwing all these scenarios out until I get the answer I want.
Okay.
All right. So you go to a hotel
Okay.
and somebody says at 3 o'clock, I know, a ghost will come into your room and, I don't know, open your curtains or something.
Yeah.
Uh, would you be like, yeah, whatever, I'm going to go to sleep? Or would you be sort of waiting for that to happen?
I probably would be waiting for that to happen. Yeah. I
Right.
probably would be like, okay, what's going to happen at 3 o'clock then? I would sit there, I'd be kind of, under the covers, just waiting for something to happen. Because then I'd want to go, okay, has someone else told the
Yeah.
hotel clerk that story? I want to see what caused them to say that, is it the night porter doing their shift at 3 o'clock in the morning and their trolley's going past your bedroom door and it makes your door rattle and that someone got scared? Like, I would try to kind of try and find a rational explanation, maybe. So yeah, I would probably stay up till 3 and see what would happen.
I would just fall asleep knowing me. I would just like and wake up at 9 o'clock in the morning or something. But
Yeah.
um, what I was going to say, have you yeah, obviously you've been to the underground in London.
No,
Um,
I haven't.
uh, you haven't been to the no, you
I
stop it.
haven't. No, I haven't. I hardly ever go to London, to be fair.
All
So.
right. Oh, I gotta say, yeah, London is a bit. It can give you a bit of a for someone who lives at the seaside. London can give you a bit of a headache really quickly.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but uh, I don't know. I just when I used to go to London quite a lot. Back in the days when I was a photographer. I had a friend who had a studio up there, and I would go to London, and we'd have to nip into the city to do stuff, and it would be like I don't know. It just felt people were always so in a rush and angry and "Get out my way, don't talk, walk there."
Mm,
And I didn't like that. I didn't like that. But I was going to say that part of my journey, part of my trip was going to the underground.
yeah.
And as you know, the underground is lots of people lost, well, quite a few people lost their lives when it was being built. And it was built over many years, and it was built on top of what was known as, the plague pits from the bubonic plague of, that hit all the world and London. It killed loads of people. And they put, did mass graves and buried people, and all those bodies had to be dug up. And the legend has it, well, it's not legend. I think people have experienced stuff uh, down in the 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 tunnels and stuff. So
Mm,
here's the thing, right? Um, People tell stories of some of the trains being haunted, some of the carriages being haunted. Some of the drivers tell stories of hearing the carriage doors opening and closing when the subway, the underground, sorry, has closed because it closes at night. It doesn't stay at all night. It closes at
mm,
like 11:30 or whatever. Um, and they would report that they can hear people in the carriages walking through, and then they go out to investigate. There's no one there, and it's an ongoing thing. Now, what I was going to say that if you want a scary job, right? All right, this is not really haunted vehicles, but it's a haunted place, right? Which is like got vehicles in it.
mm,
There's a This is a job. This is a real job, and it's known as a tunnel walker, right? So if you can imagine, these tunnels are quite long and
yeah.
not very well lit. Okay, they've only got like the basic lighting, and you've got a flashlight. And the job of these guys is to walk the tunnels and check the tracks after every day, so that make sure there's nothing on the tracks. There's because obviously an accident or something in the tunnels would be very dangerous.
Yeah.
Now, there's a case that goes back. I don't know what year it was, but it was a fair few years ago of an individual that was walking one of the tunnels, and he became he felt like he was being basically he was being followed. He felt like he was being followed, and the tunnels have got gravel in them, and they're the tracks and it's gravel for drainage and stuff, so they don't get water pooling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he could every time he walked, he felt like someone was walking behind him, and he got so scared, right, that he ran and he dropped his flashlight. Okay, I know it sounds something like something out of a film,
Yeah.
but he dropped his flashlight and he ran, and he became so petrified that he literally went to one of the corners of the tunnel and just curled up, and he didn't want to move, right? And eventually, some of his co-workers came, saw him on the camera thing, and came and got him because they could see he was in distress. But when they said what happened, why did you freak out, sort of thing,
Yeah.
he said that he felt he was being followed. But the scary thing was that when he ran and then stopped and like was all curled up, afraid, he heard the footsteps walk up to him and then walk away. But he couldn't see anyone. How scary is that?
Yeah, no, I don't like that. Isn't there a
How
horror
scary is
film?
that?
Isn't there a horror film set on like the tube or something?
Um,
I suppose
yeah,
it's like
yeah. Well, there's I think the American Werewolf in London. That's got a tube bit in it, the tube station.
I think the
Uh,
whole film is there's like
oh,
a woman and she gets on the tube and then the lights go out and then there's like a creature or something in the tube with her. I can't think of the name of the film, but that
I
was
don't
quite
know.
creepy. Hmm.
I don't know that one. Is it an 80s slasher? Was it on VHS?
No, I think it's early 2000s.
Oh no, it has to be an 80s
Maybe Little
slasher
Mix.
VHS for me to know what it is.
Oh, okay.
So I go on a tangent. Are you familiar with video shops, Blockbuster and all that?
Yes,
Oh
yes.
yeah. So okay, so back in the I'm not going to say the year, but back in the day when I was a
Yeah.
young man. So you would go into the video shop
Hmm.
because I don't know what it was, right? But when they went from being video shops to DVD shops, I was like, nah, it's not my bag. I want video.
Yeah.
I don't want none of that DVD stuff. I don't want crystal clear picture and Dolby Pro Logic sound. I want video chewed up tape. You haven't returned it. Yeah, that's what I want with
Yeah.
the line across the bottom of the screen. Um, so when you would go into a video shop, you would see all these films, right? And you'd get like paranormal films. In my video shop, they had a section on paranormal, and
Hmm.
it wasn't like paranormal documentaries. It was like paranormal horror. So, The Exorcist, Poltergeist, and all
Yeah.
those kind of films. Now, remember, but back then, I hadn't seen. Well, I'd seen a few of these films, but the horror ones, the proper horror, what I call ghost paranormal horror,
Mm.
was a big thing because they always ended up being a slasher film, a bunch of teenagers in a house, and it was
Yeah.
a demon or whatever, and then they all got murdered. But do you remember that feeling of going there on a? It was like an event to go there and get a film and bring it home and watch it, and it was like now it's kind of there's so much stuff streaming online. You can go on
Yeah.
YouTube or wherever, and there's tons of it, isn't there?
Yeah. No, I used to love it. We had that type of shop at the top of my street called Video City, and it was amazing. It had all the penny sweets, when it was actually
Yeah,
a penny a sweet. And yeah, I'd go up there with my dad, and they had like just like Child's Play, Nightmare on Elm Street. There was one, Bad Taste. Just yeah, I just remember like my dad let me watch horror films when I was a kid. So by the age of 10, I was well versed on all of those sort of horror films. I was
yeah,
aware of them all. But yeah, I loved it. And things I think like back then as well, you had to give things a try. Because whereas nowadays, you turn on Netflix, you put a film on, 5 minutes in, you go, I'm not feeling this, and you just stop, and then you go find something else. Whereas when you paid money to rent a VHS out, you've got home, you've all got the family sat down on the sofa, you put the VHS in. If it's crap, you're watching it. You're watching it anyway. You're not giving up after 10 minutes, and that's what I think we've lost now.
what was the first kind of paranormal kind of ghost film that you ever sort of watched?
Does Chucky count? Because that's like a
Uh,
haunted doll kind of. It's that
yeah,
idea of
okay, kind of, yeah. I
kind of
suppose
yeah.
that
That was
that
that was
could.
my first one. I think it was yeah. Child's Play, Nightmare on Elm Street. That was like my first kind of. Actually, when I was 12, I watched The Entity.
Oh yeah, that was
That is brilliant.
yeah. Uh, I was like, yeah, that yeah. I remember seeing that film and it did little freak me out with the fingerprints and stuff. That was a
Yeah.
oh, what's going on there? Oh,
Mm,
and obviously based on a real case. It really
yeah.
happened, and it was documented, and the researcher had wrote a book about it. So, and
Mm,
it's a fascinating case.
yeah.
Um, my my late friend Gareth, he actually found the place where it was all happened. So, and he took some pictures. It was great, but
Oh wow.
yeah, it wasn't far from where he was at the time. But no, I think that I think my first film that I watched that was kind of like paranormal horror was Evil Dead, and
Yeah.
I remember my friend said, "Oh, we've rented this film. You coming around to watch it?" And Mum and Dad are going out. And we're, what is it? Evil Dead, and we're like, "Yeah, all right." We watch it, and it's like this is a bit of a comedy film because because it when you first watch it, you think it's going to be like funny, and then after they open the book and they play the tape and stuff, and everybody starts turning into demons. I'm not gonna.
Mm,
Sorry, I'm gonna spoil it because it is about 40 years old. So yeah, but as soon as everyone sort of turns into demons, I was like, oh, this is a bit pretty gory for a
yeah.
young person. But going back to the whole video shop and stuff. Yeah, I think that kind of lost it a little bit now with films and stuff. We become very spoilt with TV and movies and stuff. And I think that movies now are they're they're not the first they're not the first what's the word, that you buy a film and you get a film and you make, as you say, you make an event of it, you make an
Yeah.
evening of it. But now we get a film and it's put it on and go 10 minutes. Oh, this is, yeah, it's boring. I'll come back to this, and you
Yeah.
never do. I mean, I've got Netflix and I've got loads of programs and films that I've started and I haven't finished them.
No.
And then I think to myself, I can't be bothered. It's just, I haven't got the time. It's like the older you get, the sort of the more you sort of look at time and think, oh no, I'm gonna use my time more wisely. Um, yeah, I mean, I do enjoy watching films, but I'm very selective because a lot of it can be a bit chuff. But
Mm.
anyway, so yeah, so with the ghost stuff, with the haunted stuff, and with the underground, going back to, I know I went off on a tangent there, but going off to the underground and old places stuff, and public transport, haunted buses. They're actually, London has got a haunted, but well, it's not actually it's not a haunted bus. It's a phantom bus. It's a bus that pulls up to pick people up and then it disappears, and it's the old style. You remember, like on the buses, and the driver would sit
Sure.
right at the front, and then
Okay.
you'd get on the bus at the back. It's one of those
Oh
buses.
yeah, yeah. Where they people would like kind of almost jump on while it's still
Yeah,
like moving. Oh,
yeah, yeah.
okay.
I remember those. They used to be green because I used to live in Bristol,
Mm.
and where I lived in Bristol, they were green, and I remember the geezer used to come around with the windy thing, the ticket thing, and he
Yeah.
would, and believe it or not, bus fare was like, I don't know, I haven't caught a bus for years, but I think it's a lot more expensive than it used to be because back in the
Mm.
day it was like 5 pence. I
Yeah.
mean,
It's gone
five
up a little
pence.
bit since then.
Have a 10 pence, please, to wherever I'm going, and it's like,
Yeah.
wow. But no, so yeah, in London. There's this bus. It's a red bus, and apparently it kind of just randomly appears, and people will see it, and it'll be like it's going to pull in to pick you up, and then it'll just vanish. So that's kind of weird. And there are cases where there are like just vehicles that are, well, I'd say they're not. Well, would you call? I don't know. Would you call a car like that, or a bus? Would you call it a ghost?
Phantom. Maybe like a phantom bus.
So, all right. So let me really pick your brains here.
Okay.
Is All right. Would you say that knows what it's doing? Is it right? Okay. So I've got to think about how I'm going to explain this because otherwise it will just sound like I'm talking nonsense. Not that I must sound like I talk nonsense all
I
the time.
no, I think I know what you're trying. I think I know what you're
Right.
trying to ask.
So if it's a bus, all right.
Hmm.
I am okay. I'm a ghost, right? And I've been a ghost for a long time, and I'm quite a say ghosts are a little bit like Jedi's, right? And the longer they learn stuff, they become quite powerful, you know.
Okay.
And I've been around on Earth because I can stay here because I chose not to go on to where I go, wherever you go, whatever.
Hmm.
And I think I'm going to have some fun here. I'm going to
Yeah.
pretend to be a bus, and I will pretend to be a bus and pull up. I think I'll wait till these people come to get on, and I'm going to vanish.
Okay.
Do you think it's that, or do you think that it's something a little bit more like, how does a bus become an apparition? What makes a bus an apparition? What happened for it to be
Yeah.
a phantom bus?
Um. Yeah. I don't know because again, it's that idea of it just being like an energy transfer or something like that, and it's like, does a bus have that sort of power and energy and like memory? I don't know. And it says like, but I think rather than a bus being like, "Hey, I'm gonna roll on in and just disappear just
Yeah,
for the fun of it," I would see it more as more of like a kind of an imprint in time, just like replaying itself. You know, like how we've
Okay.
discussed in the past about kind of,
Stone tape.
intelligent hauntings versus
Yeah.
the stone tape theory kind of hauntings, residual energy and stuff. I would see it more that, like just the bus kind of just that, like almost like a time slip, getting into kind of, you know, universes and parallel dimensions.
Okay.
I would
Yeah.
see it more of like a time slip where the bus, you're back suddenly back in the time where that bus was a working bus, and then suddenly it just goes again. But that
So
just blows my mind. So I
right. Okay. So okay. I'm gonna deepen this. Gonna deepen this hole even more because right.
okay.
If you're saying okay, you've just said maybe it's a like a time slip, then we could look at the many worlds theory where everything is on a loop.
Hmm.
It goes round and round and round and round, and it just keeps replaying, right? And that where the veil is, I'm going to use all these kind of mystical words now, and where the veil is thinnest,
Yeah.
you'll see the phantom bus. It will appear, and then the veil will get thicker, and it will disappear,
Yeah.
and and then that will keep happening in the bus time stream, whatever. I don't know. I'm simply just I'm not a
Yeah.
guru. I'm not a master. I don't know these things. I just speculate. But what it could be, as I was saying, uh, if something happened, like let's just say a massive big accident happened and it was traumatic, and the bus is just a machine, right?
Mm.
It's not sentient. It
No.
doesn't know. It's not like I'm a bus and my job is to pick up people and take them to work. It doesn't know that.
No.
It's just a machine, right? But when all those people on the bus are on the bus and the tragic thing happens, maybe those people are the ones that imprint the memory of that bus having what happened, so that when that it happens again, it's not the bus that's coming back from the dead, from you know
Yeah.
wherever from the bus scrapyard or whatever. It's the people and their imprint of the event, where they going back to stone tape. We don't really understand what stone tape is. We know that there's lots of theories out there. I find it fascinating. I do think that I've got an episode, actually, a little bit of a plug. I've got an episode coming too soon, which if you enjoy EVP and you enjoy stone tape, you're gonna love it. It's gonna be a really good episode, and I've been meaning to make it for a while. I'm not saying anymore because I want to leave it on a cliffhanger, but it's going to be a good one. But anyway, going back to what I was saying, that was just a little shameless plug. If something happened and there was an accident, like for example, a car crash, and people say, "Yeah, I saw that car, and it sped down the road and it skidded and then it
Mm.
vanished,"
Mm.
or for example, people who flight controllers that have planes, they control the planes. They've reported that there's a case. This is in America, I think. I could be completely wrong. My memory is rubbish, but it was a Cessna, I think, a single prop Cessna plane. It was coming into land, and they were talking the guy through because it was really bad weather, how far he was and what he needed to do because the guy was distressed, and to land the plane safely. And as the plane came into view, it came to the runway, and just before it was going to touch down, the plane vanished. And they're like, "What the? What happened there?
Mm.
It was gone." What? Here's the thing, right? If I remember this correctly, and I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm completely wrong, but the way I remember it is that that plane had crashed some time before in on its way. It had a mechanical fault. The guy was talking to the control tower saying, "Look, I've got something wrong with the plane. I need to emergency landing," and they were talking him down because it was really bad weather, it was
Mm.
stormy and stuff. And of course, they thought, "Oh, he's all right. He's going to land now." But it wasn't him. Well, it might have been him, but it might. What was happening there? You know.
Yeah. Mm.
What do you think? Got our thoughts on that?
Probably similar to what we said about the bus, that kind of just that little kind of time slip, relaying that event. But it would be interesting to see, like, like you were saying, talking about when the veil is its thinnest, is, when people are seeing this bust, is it a specific time? Is it a specific moon phase? What's the weather like? Things, just all these little things to see if there
Yeah,
is some
true.
sort of correlation.
Yeah.
That's what I'd be interested to kind of build
Um,
like a database of information.
when you say that, right? When you say what was the weather like and stuff, have you noticed that whenever this kind of the paranormal phenomenon where they say, "Oh, it's coaches, there's a horse and coaches, headless horseman,
Mm,
all that stuff," it's always on a thundery, stormy night. It's raining and it's dark and it's thunder and lightning, and it's on the crossroads. You think
yeah,
it always reminds me a little bit of folklore. You've told this
yeah,
story so many times that it's got its own kind of thing. But
yeah,
we go back to like stagecoaches, people who have here we go. There's another case where a couple were in a car and this is in England, and they were down in the southwest of England. They were on holiday, and they'd been out for I think they'd been out for a meal and a beer, and they were driving their car back to their, once again, crap memory. So I'm just going by what I think I remember. They were driving their car back to their hotel, I think, and they were coming to a junction. I think it was a couple. It might be some a guy. I don't know. Remember, but anyway, the main thing was that this person was in their car, and they could hear, right, because they had the windows slightly down because it was a
mhm,
summer evening. Uh, they could hear horses, galloping horses, right, but they couldn't see anything. They looked in their mirror, and then all of a sudden, from the side, come past them, out from nowhere, was like horses pulling like a stagecoach, you know, uh,
yeah,
shot past them, and it went down to the junction of the road, and they thought, oh, it's gonna crash, because it's going
yeah,
far too fast for the junction, and then it just vanished. What was that? What was
yeah,
going on there? I mean, you could clearly say that clearly is a phantom vehicle. It's an
yeah,
apparition, and that's of like horses and a
yeah,
stagecoach. And okay, there are a lot of cases where folklore plays a big part.
mm.
But what do you think's going on there? Is that stone tape theory, or is that basically something happened there and it's something tragic happened there and it's being haunted?
I would sway towards stone tape theory.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I would love to see something like that. I would love to see something appear and vanish in front of my eyes. Like, I'm almost envious of people that have
Yeah.
experienced this, because I kind of want to experience it for myself. Uh,
Um,
yeah,
I think you saying that I've always thought that about having a what I would call it would be a life changing
yeah,
experience, and I don't care. Someone says, "Oh," so there's two camps, isn't there? There's the camp that say anything like that happens to you is internal and it's your mind playing tricks with you.
yeah,
You are, you are confused, and you're the one that is getting it wrong. You're imagining it, you're creating it. But there's the other side of people saying if you experience something like that, you'll know that it's something that isn't normal. Now, the only thing that I can say when it comes to stuff like this is that when you do have an experience, and you've most probably had this in your life, uh, from whatever, in your life experience, right? When you have something that happens in your mind, your body, or whatever, it reacts a certain way, and that it's something that's not of the norm, shall we
mm,
say. So I think that if you do have something that happens like that, and I can understand people that have an experience, whether it's a UFO experience or a ghost experience or just something that's weird, just they were out and like a Bigfoot or
Mm,
something. It changes them for it in forever. They are
yeah.
completely changed. And I don't know about you, but I don't know if I don't know how I would react to that.
I think it's interesting because, like, when I think back to, like, being on investigations and even watching paranormal TV shows, things like that, is that when people kind of, it's almost like our senses pick up on something paranormal
Mm.
before our eyes or our ears kind of see or hear it, if you know what I mean. Like, people will say they've got, like, goosebumps, their heart's racing, they're like, they just feel on edge. So I don't know, is it like, if is paranormal kind of encounters, is it more to do with the energy field around us that gives us the goosebumps, those feelings, before we even like see it with our own eyes? It's like, the kind of seeing something is almost like the last experience when it comes to the paranormal. It's like the last thing that will get affected.
Do you think that when you have, if something like that happens, do you think that maybe the reason that some people pick up on it and some people, because there are people out there that you can go and, I've gone to places with people who are like, it's all a load of rubbish, ghosts and that. I'll just go, I just want a drink and a beer and muck about, and I sort of told the story of EVP and stuff, and a friend that just wasn't into it, and it it kind of it, if you start like that and you have that kind of mindset, the chances are that anything out of the ordinary is going to pass you by and you're not going to pick up on it.
Yeah.
And you have some people that go to places, and I mean, I'm the kind of person that I'm very, anyone can believe in whatever they want to believe. That's completely their own thing. And if they want to believe a certain thing, that's fine. I think that there becomes an issue if somebody believes a particular thing and then starts to tell other people that they should believe that.
Hmm.
Um, there's a bit of a problem there. But the thing is that when you go somewhere and you have a certain thought process of it or a belief, I do think that plays a big part. And I think that if you go there and think, oh, it's all a load of nonsense, the chances of you having something happen
Yeah.
is unlikely. But if you go there with a mindset of saying, I don't know, I'm willing to give it a go, see what happens,
Yeah.
and then the chances are that you might experience something. But on the other side of it, like you saying about our senses, I do also think that sometimes that our senses can like trick us. And surely
Mm.
you've been places where you've been on an investigation and you've suddenly got that kind of panicky feeling where you feel like something's there, but it could be that it's your fight or flight or fight mechanisms
Yeah.
kicking in because you're in a different place and you're really not sure. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. Like, I was, when I was driving back from the Haunted Antiques Research Centre the other night, like I said, not much had happened. So if you would have asked me as I was driving home, like, oh, are you freaked out? Are you scared or
Yeah.
anything? I'd have been like, no, I feel perfectly fine. And then driving back to my house, and a street lamp goes over my car and it casts my own shadow onto the dashboard, I jumped a mile. I was like, ah, like, because I thought I thought there was like a shadow in my car. It was me. It was my own shadow. I jumped at my own shadow. But
Yeah.
if you would have asked me 5 minutes before, are you on edge? Are you freaked out or anything? I'd have been like, no, I'm fine. So there was obviously something underlying,
Yeah.
in me that was on edge after,
Yeah.
spending the night in a haunted antique centre. So yeah, I think I've been on investigations, like you said, with people who are there, arms folded, being dragged along by the missus, don't believe in it, I'm just here because of her, and they don't experience anything. And then you've got
Mm.
the other end of the spectrum, the people who are like, oh, I believe in it wholeheartedly and nothing can convince me otherwise. And then they're the ones all night which are like, oh, I felt this happened. Oh, if someone's tugged my hair. Oh, I just saw something. Oh, I feel someone's, and it's like they're getting all the experiences. So it's kind of like, I feel like they so desperately want to experience something
Yeah.
paranormal that they're almost creating. paranormal experiences.
Do you think that now? I don't want to. I know we've kind of gone on a little bit of a transition here, but whatever, it goes where it goes. Um, so I wanted to ask you. I wanted to get your feedback. And what do you think about organized ghost hunts? Do you think that it's you're okay? So you've done research. I've done
Yeah.
research. Not so much recently, but in the past I've done plenty of it. And I, when I go somewhere, right, I, I personally, I don't really want to know much about the place because I feel that that can affect the way that whatever I experience might happen. I can, if it's in your head, you're front loaded, it can be
Yeah.
a bit of a problem. But also, do you think that when you go somewhere and you've got a lot of people who are maybe there for to be to be frightened, is it difficult to sort of know what's real and what's not when things might happen?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I used to work for a paranormal events company. We would put on events and we would have, 20, 30 people come along, and they're all fans of the paranormal TV shows, and they want to be spooked, really. And I wouldn't say that paranormal events, as the event companies put on, I wouldn't say that that is a true representation of what really goes on an investigation, say with a smaller team of 3, 4, 5 people. It's more of an entertainment night. It's the entertainment side of paranormal investigating. It's the gadgets with the loud noises. It's the gadgets with the lights. It's people want to visually see things, so
Yeah.
all those gadgets help. But yeah, like you said, I've had people that have been on the events which don't necessarily want to be there, and they'll go home at the end of the night and say, "Oh, it was a bunch of rubbish, nothing happens." And then the other end, you've got people who believe, and I've done it before, as when I paid to go on an event at the beginning of when I started getting into the paranormal, and um, we were in a hotel and someone said, "Oh, you can go up to the room at the top, it's up a flight of stairs, you go around, you go up another flight of stairs." And I'm with 5, 6 other women, and we walk up the stairs, and then suddenly all the other women are saying, "Oh, I think there's a spirit here that died from a heart attack because I can't breathe and I'm out of breath." And I was a bit like, we just walked up 2 flights of stairs, like,
Yeah.
let's kind of like, let's calm down, get our breathing down, and then we can see what is going on in the area. I just feel like people desperately want to experience something paranormal, that sometimes their rational thought goes out the window.
So, uh, leading on from that, do you feel that being a female in the paranormal, do you feel that that you are more chance of something, you know, being poked or whatever than a male? Because there seems to be this kind of how can I say, uh, like ghosts tend to pick on women more than they do pick on blokes.
Like easy
Is that
target.
true? Yeah, is that true?
Possibly, I guess, like, when you watch paranormal TV shows, you have, the angry male spirits, or the angry
Yeah.
entities, and they pick on they don't like, they pick on women and children and stuff like that. But then it's like, well, that's just because they're the easy targets. But I don't know, that might be down to the way we tell these ghost stories and these legends and stuff. 'Cause, like, a friend of mine did history for her degree, and she did a thesis on, well, I don't know what the word is, her dissertation on female spirits in ghost stories. And she said
Right.
she found it very interesting that whenever you're telling stories of male spirits, it's always, he's a soldier, he's an army general, he was the patriarch of the family, very, stern kind of, and angry, and blah 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 blah. Whereas she noticed that in a lot of the ghost stories involving female spirits, it was, the woman who lost her lover, you know, or she lost a child, the kind of the woe is me stories. You very rarely hear of stories of strong female presences, you know?
Uh, so okay. I no, I
You're
was
like,
just no, because as you were saying that, I was thinking to myself, um, you brought a memory back into my head. I was on Amazon the other day, looking on my Kindle, having a
yeah,
look, seeing what news there to buy, new books, and I put in paranormal as you do. I could just just having a look, and all these books came up like paranormal romance, paranormal lovers, and all this, and I'm thinking,
wow,
what's this? I don't want to read this. It's there's this kind of uh this kind of it's like a do you remember Mills and Boone?
no,
It's like a Mills and Boone was like a book, like romance books and romance stories.
okay,
And when I look at the paranormal now, I see all these books about romance and stuff, and I'm thinking, oh, he was a ghost, and then she fell in love with him, and then he got killed. And like you just said, and then he came back as a spirit. He was a soldier, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to read that. I want to read about investigations and stuff. I
yeah,
don't want to. I don't want that. So I'm thinking that maybe the paranormal has kind of changed a little bit, where it's kind of catering for this kind of people are turning it into like what's the word? I'm trying to think of the correct word because I don't want to misappropriate the word, but it's kind of like it's become a normality. It's like it's just another thing. It's like you go into a pub and say and have a pint of beer. It's like that. It's
mm,
just as where before you would go to somebody. So what do you do on the weekends? Then you go, I go to I investigate haunted houses, and they're like, you what? You go and how do you do that then? And you say, well, I go in the house and look for the ghost tonight, and stay there in the dark. And they're like, oh, that's a bit. You got to have a lot of guts to do that. And you're like, yeah, it's pretty grueling. But really, all you're doing is going in a dark room and eating your sandwiches for like 4 hours and drinking your Coke, and not
yeah,
much happens. But
yeah,
now, when you know, now when you go ghost hunting and you've got to dress, it's like a uniform, isn't there? You got to be all in black, and
mm, look the part,
you got to look the part. It's
yeah,
kind of a fashion thing, isn't it? It's like paranormal has turned into like a fashion thing, and it's like, yeah, right, okay. There's people here in the chat that know how I feel about ghost investigators, right? My kind of ghost investigator, right, is his name's Colin. He's got a dog. His dog's maybe called I don't know. He's got a maybe they called him Ghost Catcher or something. He's got a he's a small dog, and he's not scared of ghosts. And Colin has maybe he's a university lecturer, and he wears a tweed suit, and he drives a sports car, right? So he's got a little bit of money, and he takes it quite serious, and he's got a briefcase, and he's got a camera in his briefcase and a notepad and that kind of stuff. And he
mm,
goes to investigations, and he's got a team of people around him. He's got a lady who's quite assertive, and there's a young guy who's like the apprentice, and he's learning like the Jedi Master. He's like his Padawan, and they go to the different places and they do their investigations, and that's it. And they sit around and drink their tea, and they have a chat, and then they write down things, and that's it. But now, right? But now you've got to like have like all your latest stuff. You've got to have all the gadgets. You've got to have all the cameras. You've got to have all the things, and you've got to be seen to be the best of the best. And I think it kind of you kind of put out the wrong kind of vibe when it's like, look at all the things I've got, and because I've got all the things, I'm clearly the best, and all the ghosts like me. So there's nothing that I can't capture, or and I should be able to go everywhere. Do you think it's gone a little bit like that? A little bit over commercialized?
I think again, there's different types. of investigators. You know,
Yeah.
there's the ones that, you know, they love the gadgets. They're, you know, this, oh, I've bought this online. It's all the way over from America. It cost me £300. And they're so proud of their gadgets. But if you break it all down, you know, it's just a flashy toy at the end of the day. You know, it's nothing says that any gadget in any investigator's kit can 100% contact spirits.
Yeah.
We're just
True.
guessing at the end of the day. Nobody knows what a ghost or a spirit is made of, what type of energy, whether it is energy, whether it's, you know, anything. So there's no device that's able to measure the presence of something that we don't know what we're measuring. So the gadgets, I think, just they're just a bit of entertainment, a bit of fun. And then you've got the you know, the investigators that, you know, do all their investigations over YouTube and Facebook and stuff. And, you know, they're a different genre. You know,
Yeah.
and you've got the old school investigators, you know, who just say, you know, like notebook,
Yeah.
pen, and a
Colin.
camera. That's all I need. You know, yeah, Colin. So it's there's definitely a place for everyone. I don't, you know, I think, you know, you at the end of the day, you do you. As long as nobody is getting hurt in this, you know, nobody's acting unethically, you know, and you're just kind of keeping yourself to yourself. Just, yeah, like, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes gadgets are fun on investigations. You know, I've been in a room and then suddenly a loud noise is going off, and everyone like, you know, it's fun. But you know, I think sometimes we need to go back to the basics and, you know, do a proper investigation. You know, look at the, you know, look at what the building is made of, look at the history of the building, you know, what could be causing, like, kind of ticking off all of the boxes before you get to the conclusion of it's paranormal.
Yeah.
I think possibly more investigators, you know, should go down that route. But like I said, that wouldn't be fun to watch on a TV show, or that
Oh
wouldn't be
no.
fun to watch on YouTube or Facebook. So, you know,
No,
it just
yeah.
depends. Yeah, it just depends on what you want to get out of the investigation and who your audience is. But I think there's room for everyone. But as long as people just, you know, ethical, I think that's the main thing.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm not saying that you know, if you got the money and you can buy all the toys and the gadgets, you know, go for it. Um, I don't know if they, you know, I don't know if they add to an investigation or just make it more fun.
Yeah,
You know, but I think the most important thing is that you do have fun, and you shouldn't, you know, make make more of it than what it is, and you should enjoy yourself. But I'm not saying that I don't want people to get the wrong idea that I'm saying you clearly shouldn't be doing that. This is the way to ghost hunt. I'm not saying that.
no,
Uh, so I think yeah there is. I mean, because YouTube has got its own uh, caliber of investigators, and some are clearly based on entertainment only,
yeah,
and some are do something, you know, as good as Mr. Kipling. They're exceedingly good.
yeah,
You know, so there are some really good ones out there. But you know, it doesn't. It. I don't think you need a ton of kit to make a good investigation. There are. I spoke to Shadow Paranormal and Staffordshire Paranormal. They're small outfits. I mean, they do some really good videos, and they go on some really interesting investigations. And I always watch their videos, and they're not all like gadgets and crazy stuff, but it's interesting what they capture, and they're very level-headed and calm about it. They don't, you
yeah,
know, they're not all running around like mental and stuff, going oh and stuff, and you know, do you see
yeah,
that shadow thing? But no, so I think that yeah, horses for courses, isn't it? It's
yeah,
what people like,
mm,
and everyone's different, and everyone's got their own sort of cup of tea, sort of thing.
yeah,
Um, but anyway, so as we're getting to the nearing the end of this I think it's our second Paratalk live stream. So what are your closing thoughts on, in general, where the paranormal is at the moment and where we are with the paranormal? Do you think that it's on a in a good place or not such a good place?
I think there's going to be a massive shift in the paranormal soon. I think I've noticed a lot of people talking about paranormal TV shows and they're getting a bit samey. So I think soon there's going to be a big change in the way, paranormal shows are recorded, how they're, the layout of a paranormal show. It's not going to be just following investigators around in the dark. I think, people, especially investigators, will be pushing for more of a kind of a factual investigation, less entertainment based. The paranormal community, there can be lots of drama.
Yeah.
Like, I stay out of it. I don't get involved in anything. Let people do what they want to do.
Mm.
Just I think, yeah, I think with any sort of kind of community or industry, there's always going to be the bad eggs. You can't stop that. You can't tell them what to do. You can't tell them what they're doing is wrong. You just got to kind of, you know, leave them to do it and just do your own thing. I've met some amazing people in the paranormal. Like I said, like when I went out on Wednesday night, the haunted mag guys were lovely, and so was Steve from Higgy Pop. They were amazing, and a good bunch of guys, and that kind of gave me some kind of positive kind of thought and energy about like the future of the paranormal.
Yeah.
I think everything. I think it's gonna get better. I think over the next few years, there's gonna be definitely an improvement. Definitely.
Okay. So yeah, talking about the paranormal. Hopefully, as you know, I've told everyone. Leanne and I have discussed this, and I've spoken to other people as well. That we're trying to do something where we all get together and we hire somewhere, a big haunted house in the middle of nowhere. So it's the script of a horror film.
Yeah.
That we all get there and we all spend a few days there and see what happens. Um, Whether it will happen, I don't know. It's the thing is, a lot of these places that are like quality places, they do charge quite a lot of money. I looked at one recently, and it was, we're talking sort of 14th, 15th century, and so I think it had 8 bedrooms, so there's 8 people that could go, and it had a number of alleged occurrences. It had a lot of history. A lot of families lived there. There was deaths there, and all the other stuff, English Civil War, things like that, and but it was, it kind of nearly £1,000 for 3 days. It's a lot of money, but I know, as some people have said, well, it's not, you haven't got to pay it, it's you split it up between everyone, but you have to make it affordable for everyone,
Yeah.
and you can't say to somebody, yeah, well, it's 200 quid each, because that's a lot of money, you know.
Mm,
So, there's a big difference between 75 quid and 200 quid. But
yeah.
it would be nice to do something like that. But it's
Yeah.
also would be nice to get a lot of people together that were like minded. And of course, you don't want someone to go, yeah, it'll be a laugh. We'll go have a few cans, have a few tins, get a kebab, and see if
That
we
sounds
can.
great.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I don't want it to be like, here's a pencil and a notepad, and you must sit here for 4 hours.
No,
I don't
no
want it to be like
talking.
that.
Yeah.
Well, on a final one of the final notes, but I think that I will say that when you have people that maybe have had a couple of beers and are like-minded and are having a laugh, the chances of something happening then goes up greatly, because
Yeah, possibly.
I
Yeah.
think it charges the atmosphere. It changes the dynamic of why you're there. If you're all sat there going, "Oh God, we're in the dark, or something can happen. Did something touch me?"
Yeah.
It's a different mindset, isn't it?
Yeah.
But apart from that, have you got any? Are you going to on any other places?
Not
In the,
not at the
no?
moment, no. But
Okay,
hopefully we'll book somewhere soon.
cool.
Yeah.
That's good. Right, so let's have a quick look. Let's have a quick look at the chat, because I like to do this. I like to see what you've all been typing. I feel like I'm a school teacher here. I'm looking back, saying, "Who's been naughty?" Uh, but not like that. Let's have a look. Yeah, well, okay. Christine, yeah, that was that film. Christine, that was a good
Queen.
film. That Christine, yeah, that was a
Oh,
good film.
Christine. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the guy that he was like I think he was being picked on, and then he buys this old car, and the old car is like got a curse on it. No, it's like the devil, and he changes and he becomes the cool kid, and he does the car kind of does itself up, and then he becomes the driver of the car, and of course it
Oh,
affects
okay.
him. It's a honestly, if you have not seen it, watch it,
No,
Christine.
okay.
It's a great film. Stephen King. I'm pretty
Oh,
sure it's
is it?
Stephen King
Oh,
film.
brilliant.
Um, yeah, pretty much we've covered everything that we were with everyone was talking. Well, not we haven't covered everything, but but yeah, I don't see anything there that's really jumping out at me. I live near terms of. Oh, okay, I'm sort of getting carried away now. What reading everybody's chat, but yeah. So I think we're going to call it a night here now. We've been going on sort of an hour and 40 minutes, and it's been 1958 Plymouth Fury. That's what it was. A classic American car. Actually another story. I remember my dad used to work in Canada and America back in the once again back in the 80s, and he would send these. He was a truck driver. Used to drive a
Mm,
Kenworth. I was it a Kenworth or a Mack? He was a Kenworth, I think. He'd drive the logging. Got to the woods, not the woods, the forests, the
yeah.
woods. So it's like I'm going up to the woods up here. But so he would drive these great big, massive trees down through to Washington State, and then he would drive back again. That was great, great time of my life. That was. But anyway, so he would send all these like uh, um, packages, right?
Mm,
From my brother, and I remember, right, he would send these magazines of all these classic American cars, and at the time, like the station wagons and stuff. And
mm.
I'm like, oh, these cars are amazing because we had plans to move over there. We were going to emigrate. We were going to, but
Oh,
obviously things happened, and the company he worked for folded. Well, I'm waffling here, and I'm going on another one here, telling him my life story. But yeah, so it didn't happen because I'm here. But otherwise, I would be the American version of me, I suppose, or the Canadian version. I think we were going to go to Canada, or we were going to go to America. I can't remember. So long
yeah.
ago. Yeah. So have I? What is
A truck. Your dad was driving a truck.
Yeah. Where's Sorry, I get carried away. I'm reading the stream again. Yeah. Anyway, so I want to thank you, Leanne, for coming on and listening to my drivel.
It's
Uh,
been great.
we'll get together and do a podcast very soon.
Yeah,
We'll sort something out. And as I say, what we're going to try and do, if we do, 'cause I think we had, didn't summer happen yesterday? Wasn't that summer? Well,
that
one
was yeah.
day.
One day.
Yeah, was that yesterday? And then it poured with rain, and I got soaking wet.
Yeah,
But what we're going to try and do is get out somewhere and do like uh, a little walk around. Maybe record some video, do like a little bit of a mini podcast, and then kind of stitch it into a podcast episode that's kind of maybe a video. We can play some video of whatever.
yeah,
I don't know. Whatever happens, I don't know. It's be a laugh anyway. Be a laugh. Find
yeah,
somewhere decent though, that's open, that doesn't cost a
yeah.
fortune. But yeah. So anyway, thank you everybody. I'm definitely gonna go now. I need my coffee, and thanks for everybody. Yeah, Mary says there we go. Mary says summer is over. Yeah, thanks, Mary. Thank you. Summer's over. Now you've cursed it. Rain. I think it's going to be quite hot tomorrow, but who knows? I don't know. We'll
Fingers
see.
crossed.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Leanne. Thank you, everybody, for
Thank
coming and
you.
supporting the stream. You're welcome. And there'll be more soon, as soon as. But yeah, we'll be back when we're back. Thanks, everybody. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.